I was never the kind of woman who cried easily. Life had hardened me in ways that only single mothers truly understood. Bills stacked up, time slipped through my fingers like water, and every day felt like a battle. But I fought. For my son, Evan. Evan had just turned 22. Tall, kind-eyed, and sharp-witted, he was the sort of young man who turned heads when he walked into a room. Not because of arrogance, but because of his quiet, calming energy. He'd always had that. Even when his father left us without a goodbye, Evan was the one who made me breathe when it felt like I couldn't. We had been living in our small but cozy home in Ohio since Evan was in middle school. I worked as a part-time nurse and freelanced for a local wellness blog. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and let me be home enough for dinner most nights. That mattered. One late autumn evening, while I was folding laundry and watching reruns of Friends, Evan walked in from work, his cheeks slightly red from the chill. He dropped his bag near the door and sat across from me on the floor. "Mom," he said softly, "can I ask you something?" I looked up from the jeans I was folding. "Sure, honey. You okay?" He hesitated. And in that pause, I felt something shift. Something small but powerful. I've been thinking a lot about us, about how we live, and about you. You've always given me everything. Sacrificed a lot. I smiled, brushing it off. That's what moms do. I know, he said, looking down at his hands. But maybe you've done too much. That stung more than I expected. What do you mean? He looked up, his brown eyes holding more emotion than I was ready for. I want you to be happy, not just existing for me. You never date, you never go out. You don't do anything for you. I chuckled uncomfortably. I'm fine, Evan. That part of my life's just not a priority. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. But it should be. I swallowed. My throat felt tight. You don't need to worry about that. I do, though, he said gently. I saw how you looked at that man at the grocery store last week. The guy who asked if you were in line. You smiled differently. I noticed. I was stunned. He noticed? Evan exhaled slowly. I guess what I'm trying to say is, would you let me help you find your happiness? Whatever that means. Even if that means helping you get back out there, into the world. I blinked hard. You're asking me to date? I'm asking you to live, Mom. That night, after he went upstairs, I sat on the couch in the dark, thinking, was I hiding from life? Had I become so used to survival that I forgot how to actually live? The next morning, I woke up with an unfamiliar feeling. Curiosity. What if Evan was right? Over the next week, I started doing small things. I changed my hair, wore lipstick for the first time in years. I even let my coworker, Rachel, set up a dating profile for me. You've still got it, she grinned. Trust me. Evan noticed the changes. You look confident, he said one evening, smiling warmly. Feels weird, I admitted. Good weird, he replied. I'm proud of you. Then one Saturday afternoon, while I was scrolling through messages on my phone, I saw one that stood out. His name was Jake, 44, recently divorced, and a lover of jazz music and red wine. We chatted for a few days before deciding to meet for coffee downtown. I told Evan I had a date. He grinned so wide I thought his face might crack. Yes, Mom, that's awesome. You nervous? Terrified. I laughed, but excited. The date went better than I imagined. Jake was warm, funny, and easy to talk to. I felt seen, not as a mother, not as a nurse, just me. When I got home that night, Evan was waiting up, pretending not to be. You didn't have to wait, I smiled, slipping off my heels. Was it good? It was nice, I admitted, cheeks warming. We had pizza that night and talked about everything but the date, but I caught him smiling to himself when he thought I wasn't looking. Weeks passed and I kept seeing Jake. Nothing serious, just easy conversations and light dinners. Evan asked about him but never pushed. Then, one night in late December, after decorating our little Christmas tree together, Evan sat next to me on the couch, unusually quiet. "I'm glad you're smiling more," he said. I looked over. "You did this." He shook his head. "You just needed permission, and maybe a nudge." I placed my hand on his. "You're a good son, Evan." He glanced at me with something deeper in his eyes. "Can I ask you one more thing?" "Anything." "When I leave for grad school next fall, are you going to be okay? Really okay?" The question hit me like a wave. I'd always known he'd leave eventually, but hearing it out loud made it real. "I don't know," I whispered, "but I think I'll be more okay than I would have been a few months ago." He smiled sadly. That's all I wanted to hear. Then I turned into love.